First and foremost, thank you. I appreciate you guys taking the time to, cover our baseball program here at Tulane. So it's an awesome day for me, which because the season's getting closer, so that's cool. I'm not counting the days down like I tell the guys I'm going to make this day count, but it is cool to think about what's up on the horizon, the ability here today to share with you about our team a little bit, kind of maybe what our schedule looks like and things like that. But let everybody know we're deep into training, and we've kind of got our last dress rehearsal this weekend. We'll scrimmage tonight. Hopefully they'll turn some heat on for us. That would be good, and then we'll replicate it again Saturday and Sunday. So boys are doing well. Real proud of them in a lot of different ways. This is a tough time to be a college student in general, but a college student athlete with all the COVID and the restrictions and the restraints that have been put on them. But I think they're embracing them well. Last year is last year, but I think we have some good feelings about what that felt like going into this year. The guys want to play, so they're being pretty on alert in terms of what they've kind of have to give up to gain so that we can make sure that this season goes off. So I like the group collectively. I think we have some quality position players. We've got some depth in the pitching staff, and we just need to. We've been doing a lot of homework, and we just got to take a test. So looking forward to a opening weekend ahead of us, and I'm here for any questions that you might have.
Questions for Coach Jewett.
Hey, Coach. This is Joe Healy with Baseball America.
Hi, Joe.
How you doing?
Great, thank you.
Good. I'm curious how you and your staff are approaching the idea of 4-game weekends, and then furthermore, not having midweek reps once you get conference play underway from a pitching standpoint. How are you guys working through that? What do you think the challenges of that would be, and do you have a general strategy of how you think you might attack that?
Yeah, it's obviously a little bit different, right? I don't think anybody's maybe a huge fan of double headers, but let me tell you, Joe, I am, because that means we're playing baseball, and the fact that our administration, I think, has done a great job of wanting us to play and not hamstringing us, so to speak, and hey, we're going to play 40 games or 30 games or what have you. So as a league, we've sat down and talked about, how do we guarantee ourselves the most games and also be fiscally responsible. So that's kind of why you see the balance of once conference starts, no midweeks, add the game on to the 4. So it'll be a challenge, but what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find a 4th starter. Most of the time you do that anyways because you're playing on those Tuesdays and Wednesdays or both. We'll just probably have to get a guy going that way so that he can be versed and repped and get his length going so that eventually when the conference start, if that particular guy, just like any of the other 3 starters, is performing well and we feel like he gives us the best chance to win, then we would probably move him into one of those 4 spots. So we'll be, and we are to this point because we still do have time left. We're competing for openings on this baseball team, and so we're trying to figure out, who some of those starters might be, and then have them be able to transition into that 4th game. I will tell you, not only is it 4 games, it's 4 9-inning games. We've talked about all the different kind of flirting arounds about, a 7 and a 9 or 2 7s or things like that. But again, administratively, conference-wise, I think they realized the 4th game, the extra pitchers they've added to our normal travel roster. So we'll go from 27 to 30 now in our conference games. So that will allow us to play 4 9-inning games. So it'll be a challenge, and but again, I'm not a huge fan of doubleheaders other than this year. I'm ultra excited about it because we get to play baseball. So hope that answers your questions, Joe.
Any other questions for Coach Jewett?
Travis,
Yes, go ahead.
when Trevor Minder came in last year, he had pretty big shoes to fill. You kind of, no pressure, playing,
Yeah.
going to third base. You kind of knew what you had in him too, so you had a lot of confidence in him. How would you assess what he's done? I mean, obviously he had a terrific year in short term, and what he means to this program now.
Yeah, Trevor's one heck of a human being. He's a great teammate, all those things like that. His skill set is very qualified to sit into those hosey type shoes, and not putting any pressure on him, but we felt good about what we had in that replacement. I've told you this many times, and I talked to the team about this a lot. He plays a game with such an evenness to him. There's a heartbeat that I really appreciate. I don't think he takes it too high or too low in either regard. I think he's got the ability to do what I think all great baseball players do, and play with an even keel. And so, we talk about this with our offense, but he's a very multifaceted kid, Gary. He plays premium defense. He can handle the hot smash at third base. He can play on the run. He can throw from all different angles. Those are high characteristics of a professional style infielder. So defensively, he's good that way. Offensively, you saw the numbers that he put up in a short time last year. We challenge our guys all the time. That was last year. Stay humble, keep working. He's a very invested kid. He's at the field all the time, working on his swing, maybe sometimes too much, which is not a bad problem, but he's always working with his swing, taking swings, making adjustments. And I think he's a kid that is going to hit for a high average because, he's got control of the strike zone. I think he knows what his strengths are as a hitter. And then I think the older that he continues to get in maturity and strength and stuff like that, I think his power will continue to develop. So, and I think maybe what a lot of people might not know is that he can run. Trevor can run, and we've already have some kind of nuanceful signs between the two of us, kind of like, Jew, like, come on, take the parking brake off, let me go. Like, I can run, I'm good at it. He's got good instincts on the bases. So, just a really good human being, good team leader, and just a well-rounded baseball player. So, if anybody could fill the shoes of a first rounder, right, we've got this guy in our program, and I think he's handled that extremely well. So we're grateful that he's here. My expectations is that he's going to have one heck of a season.
If he had any downside last year, and this is nitpicking, he struck out 20 times, which is the high on the team. Is that an issue at all for him that he has to work on, or is that just part of the way he plays? And you look at the rest of the numbers, his on base percentage and everything else, and it's not really a factor.
Well, striking out's not allowed in our program, so that would be too many. I think he realizes that. And one thing you have to understand too, Gare, and for all the callers out there, is that hitting in itself is one of the hardest things to do in sport. And then also, there's a transition period too, right? Not that he didn't face some quality pitching in junior college, which he did, but you don't see it as much or as consistently, right? So there's a little bit of a transition period there. So I would tell you that with those strikeouts that you made mention to, I would assume through his competitive nature, learning shapes of pitchers, our plan more, things like that would probably decrease as the season were to go. So he's a prideful kid. We think we have a really good two-strike plan. He's probably tired of me kicking him in the knee from striking out, so he's probably going to stop doing that. So that would be cool. But we do expect that he's going to hit for a high average. He's going to hit for some power. And with that, at times, you know, the ball can disappear from your bat, okay? So we just want to try to eliminate that to our best of our ability, and I think that, you know, you'll see some of those adjustments from him through the course of the season, no doubt.
And then Braden Olthoff, he was basically perfect for you last year. Of all of his qualities, what do you admire? What do you admire the most about
Routine. You know, I'm a little upset. He got rid of his little red bag that he came here from Palomar with. It was cool. It was like, I don't think it was Nike. I don't think it might have had one strap. I don't know, but he used to always just kind of tote it around, and it had his glove and his bands and his balls and whatever it was. But routine, you know, I think he's got a vision. I think his mental approach and his clarity about what he wants out of this environment and while he's here and what he sees himself doing in the future. I just made mention earlier, don't, you know, count the days, make the days count. He's a guy that I look up, whether he's pitching, which he will do today, or he's on the second day of a 6-day cycle before he pitches again. It's just routine. And so, very hard worker. You know, I look at him now, and he's gotten a lot bigger too. You know, he's grown taller, he's gained weight, he's stronger. All those things I think will be helpful. But, you know, we all see the pitches and the shapes and the strikes and the ability to do all the things that come with being a really good pitcher. But I think that, you know, we talk about our program, deserve victory, deserve success, things like that. Well, that doesn't just fall out of the tree. It has to be earned, and I think he gets exactly what he puts into it.
Hey Travis, Andrew Doak from CBS in New Orleans here. Hope you're doing well, man.
Andrew, how are you?
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
I'm curious with the extra year of eligibility some of these guys got in return, and with the MLB draft, you know, being cut down to only 5 rounds instead of 40. We talked to Paul Maneri not too long ago, and he said he thinks college baseball is going to be about as deep as it's ever been. How do you feel like that could affect just the strength of college baseball? Do you feel like it's going to be even stronger than it maybe has been over the last couple decades, maybe?
I think without a doubt. You know, I think the emptying of rosters through draft eligibility, through graduation, exhausted eligibility, those aren't like that anymore, especially when you talk about the 5-round draft, you know. So, yeah, more players are remaining in college. And I know some of these guys you're asking me questions about. You referred talking to Paul. It could be Coach X, Y, and Z. We all got some extra Christmas presents this year, whether it was to the liking of those guys at the particular time, but it is what it is. The COVID is the COVID, and it's allowed for a lot of programs to retain quality people and quality players, and we're no different. You know, you guys have talked to me about both Minder and Olthoff to this point in this Zoom call. If the draft is normal, if there isn't extra years of eligibility, all those things, we would be talking about them in a professional uniform. The Keegan Gillises of the world, guys like that are going to be high contributors to our team this spring from a mental and physical standpoint, that they would not be here anymore. So they're just going to have to wait their time. I tell the kids all the time, it doesn't always happen on our watch. You know, 15-2 last year, it smelt good, it felt good. I think we all had a feeling of where it was going, and then gone. Braden, Minder, Keegan, they were all planning on playing pro ball, which is what I want from our guys, not on their watch at that particular time. So they just got to hunker down, be appreciative of what they have, where they're at, and then they got to make the best of you know, where their feet are at this moment. And I think they've all done a really good job doing that. And you know, it's just going to be delayed a little bit, but because of that, college baseball, it's going to be a bear, you know, and it's getting better and better every year as it is. You know, the far right and left competitions are shrinking, you know, where it's very competitive. There's a lot of very good programs out there that are committing to baseball, and that in itself makes it tighter. But when you are able to hold on to quality players as these guys are, yeah, it's gonna make it like a little bit of a minor league, you know. So yeah, I think it is gonna make for a very good college baseball season.
And I'm curious, how do you feel like some of these 4-game conference weekend series, do you feel like they could affect you negatively or positively from an RPI standpoint? I mean, is that even at the forefront of your mind, when it comes to a scheduling standpoint, or is it just trying to get through the season first and then we'll worry about the rest later?
Yeah, I think get through the season first, and our schedule is what it is. Now our RPI of our conference is good, so the more we play each other, that's probably not going to hurt us any. So that'll be good, but I'm not too worried about that. I don't even know if there's going to be a true math formula for RPI this year, right? Because there's only a X amount of games that you have to play to qualify for the tournament, and some teams are doing it different, this, that, and the other. So there could be a little bit of shimmy shake with that in itself. So all we're trying to do is win today, and then when Lafayette shows up, we're just going to try to win each game as they come, and then if we win them all, like, who cares what the RPI says? Like, we're going to be good. Like, we're in, So that's how I kind of look at that and let the eggs fall where they might. We have a very competitive schedule, We've changed it 16 times, but we're at where we need to be, and it's a little more regionalized, but it's good. We've got some good road opponents in Troy and Mississippi State, and hosting Lafayette and La Tech, and a very good Grand Canyon team from out in Arizona. Andy Stankiewicz, a former Yankee major leaguer and a colleague of mine at Arizona State. They're very good. So we've got a good schedule for us to challenge us that way. And then the 4 games that you're talking about, Andrew, it's just if you would ask me this question 2-3 years ago, I would have been chewing off my fingernails. This year, no, see, we got Latham's Army. We're better that way. We're longer in the tooth. We've got guys that can start and bullpen and set up and slow you down and speed you up, and backside Johnny guys in the bullpen, which I told the guys the other day, our starters are ultimately important, and we feel like we've got a handful of good ones. The ability to now pass the baton in the middle of those games or late in the games, we've got some pieces out there. So I think we can get it started efficiently. I think we can transition it well in the middle, and then I think we can have the ability, now our guys have to do it, but I think we can slam some doors at the end, okay, and kind of hold on to the games that are ours and that we deserve to win. So feel good about it. And you better when you've got 4 games on a weekend, right? And so, I think we're going to be able to match up well that way.
Coach, do you expect big things from this club? Is that a fair question?
100%. Absolutely, yes. Yes, I do. Ed, how are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing well, Coach. I'm doing well. Define what you think is a big thing, or
Big thing. Winning, I would like to see this team learn from last year's successes and move our program into the NCAA postseason. That's the expectation. We don't talk about it like that, Ed. We just try to train well to play well, prepare well to play well, all those things, and challenge the kids and put them in good environments so that when the game gets pointed into play, we're ready and that we have a chance to win, And so, but my expectation is to answer your question, and I'm not going to try to run and hide from them. We're talented enough. We've got enough leadership. We've got enough ability. We've got enough connectivity amongst our team that, we can win our fair share of games and play past the regular season.
I know it's a whole new year and everything, and everyone's starting over, but do you think there's a carryover from last year, or do you think that's a little overrated as a factor going into the next year?
Well, I do think there's some carryover, and I think it's kind of a two-sided sword. And I say this because I think the carryover that we're bringing with us is we felt last year. We knew what it was like to do what we did last year. So we're going to take that forward with us. We're going to hold that close to our ribs, Ed, and take it with us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the disappointment and all those things like that, and we're just going to put that out on the curbside. That's trash, and we just want somebody else to take it and throw it in the dump. So we just try to identify, like, what are the good things, and we want to bring those forward with us, okay, so that we can understand and replicate those, and then try to leave the other things on the curb, as I made mention. So that's kind of a double-edged sword that way. So I do feel like the guys feel pretty good about themselves, which is half the battle. You know, you stand on that rubber, Ed, you put your feet in that batter's box, kind of how you feel about yourself, and, you know, the confidence that you've had, some success in the past certainly helps, the way you've trained, all those types of things, that's part of it. So I think our kids are, when I answer those questions about what's big and playing in the postseason, I think if you ask them that question, I would guess to think that they would say the same exact thing.
Is one more follow-up. Do you think that the program is at the point now where you're going to be able to do it on a consistent basis, year by year?
Yes. I mean, that's the objective for sure. You know, it took us some time to get going. Obviously, we're kind of in a little bit of quicksand, but I think, as you and I have spoken before about this, you know, I just feel good about the players that are currently here, really more so than anything in baseball with the limited scholarships, right? You've just kind of got to identify where does your monies belong, and, you know, where the strengths start from. And let me tell you guys where it starts from. It starts from the brown circle in the middle of the field, the part of the field that's higher in elevation than any other spot on the field. It's the pitching mound, okay? And that's the Oltofs and Benoits and Aldriches and Gillis, and I can keep going on, that are standing up there even taller now, 6'3", 6'4", right? And they've got, like, arm strength, and they're craftsmen. They can paint. They can change speeds. They can make you miss, field your position, all those things, hold runners. And so we really feel like, Ed, over the course of time, it's taken us some time, but it does, you know, when you're trying to adjust that. And so we've been able to kind of identify where we need to be strong, and we spend our monies accordingly, so to speak. And you know, we feel like we're in a spot now where it's where it needs to be. And then, you know, our coaches, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about them and what they do to help these guys become the best versions of themselves, but also what they're doing out from a recruiting standpoint. You know, I think we've got a good group coming in. I think Coach Ullman said last night on an alumni Zoom, you know, we've got the second-rated RPI or ranked class coming in next year in the conference, and, you know, maybe a top 41 in the country. So I think, you know, we do feel good about the future. And I like our balance, too. You know, we've got graduate transfers, we've got high school kids, we've got junior college kids, and we just kind of meld them all together. And I do feel good about some sustained success going forward.
Any other questions for Coach Jewett?
Got one question, Coach Ken Bertolot.
Hi, Ken.
Discuss COVID for a second, and the athletics department has done so well with not having to cancel very many games, only a few in men's basketball. Football, women's basketball have gone untouched. How have you handled that, and how are the players handling that, and maybe the sense of maturity and responsibility they take on their part to try to get all of these games in?
Yeah, well, thank you for being here, Ken. It's good to see you. And this, as I made mention earlier, this COVID thing, it's tough, you know. You could probably think back about your time in college there. Nobody was telling you to grab your mask or be socially distant or take X amount of tests and, this, that, and the other. So it's been a challenge for them. It really has. And I try to praise them, from time to time to let them know that I get it. It's been tough, but they all want to play, and when you want to do something bad enough, then you've got to make some sacrifices. And right now, our guys have made a lot of sacrifices. And again, I'll give the university and the administration another good plug here. I do. I think they've done a great job of just kind of bubbling us to make sure that we get the opportunity to play, because that's what they want, and they're willing to take the steps that it's necessary for that to happen. So we have to have a plan in place, which they've done, and then the kids have to realize that plan, and then what they have to do is realize that whether they like it or not, it is what it is, okay? So they've made a lot of sacrifices. They're all healthy. And, I tell them this, guys, connectivity and spirit and energy is a big part of our program. And, when somebody's telling you that you can only, hang out with your roommate, and I tell the guys, I hope you don't live alone, because that's a kind of a small party. But when can we not count the distance as much or the number of people and stuff like that? It's in our clubhouse. It's on our field, right? That's our togetherness. So I'm hopeful that they're using some of those restrictions, and they were good about it leading up to this last year, even more so this year. But I think it's driving the kids to the facility. It's driving them to be together more, because they can't really be anywhere else. And so I think it's helpful that way in a lot of ways, not only just their skill set and their craft and all like that, but just hopefully, their buddies, their teammates, and all that kind of stuff. So, Ken, real proud of these kids, because like I said, I do realize that it's not easy, and, they're going to get rewarded for, attacking this thing head on.
Thanks, Travis, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Anything else for Coach Jewett before we bring our players on? Okay, thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Participant